How did you turn the House blue?
Look, there was an effort across the country, people getting involved, stepping forward, incredible candidates across America. We identified the largest battlefield in a decade that ultimately yielded 111 districts with candidates in every one. But it came down to grassroots and candidates telling their stories and grassroots organizers working around the clock, knocking on doors and turning that vote out. And
now, of course, all talk turns to who is going to lead the party. Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House, now the current minority leader. It would seem like she has the support. Now, there's a mounting faction that would like to see someone else. What do you say? Why is there this opposition to Nancy Pelosi?
Look, I have every confidence in the world that Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House. I support the leader.
You do? You think she has the votes?
I do believe she has the votes.
She has 218.
I believe the leader has the votes. I believe she will be the Speaker of the House. There's no one that works smarter around the clock. And look, there were a lot of people that said, with Leader Pelosi, we couldn't win the House back, or we can't win Trump districts. Well, we not only won the House back, we exceeded everyone's expectations. Right. And we've won as many Trump districts as we've won Clinton districts.
Let me ask one more follow-up question here, because now if the top line view is this is ultimately going to come to the floor for a vote. And you have now a situation where previously you meet behind closed doors, you have the inner caucus fight to see if she's there. But what happens to these members who ran on the notion of electing someone other than Nancy Pelosi, getting new leadership? If they get to the floor, if they vote present, does that provide them the political cover of being able to fulfill what they ran for on the campaign?
Well, one, there's no one running against Nancy Pelosi for the Democratic nomination. Marcia Fudge has been mentioned in an article. She's a dear friend of mine, but she has not launched a challenge that I'm aware of, nor any letters that have come forward. So, one, I think Leader Pelosi right now is the only one running for Speaker, but there's a reason for it. We support her, and there's many members that have been talking about this across the country. Now, the question is what happens when this goes to the floor? I think that's why you organize in a caucus. In that caucus, when the family comes together, you should be willing to support whichever candidate you believe best represents how we can move forward as a country. I think that person is Nancy Pelosi. And then when we go to the floor, we have to come together. We shouldn't, as Democrats, be empowering the Republicans. They're in the minority now. And the American people have spoken loud and clear. They want us to deliver on an infrastructure package. They want us to lower the cost of prescription drug prices and move a strong reform package that's going to make a difference in people's lives by restoring the Voting Rights Act, overturning Citizens United, doing something about all of this dark outside money in politics.
So, Congressman, let's talk a little bit about that family, because it's a bigger family now, as you noted, but you also have some differing viewpoints. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about a Thanksgiving table next week. But you think about Representative Ocasio-Cortez. You also think about incoming Congressman Lamb, a moderate, maybe a more progressive, a socialist Democrat. How do you find a way to make all of them happy? And who do you think has a dominant voice in the party going forward?
Well, one, it's the strength of our caucus. It's not a weakness. The diversity that we celebrate and the number of members that have joined the Democratic majority now. I think the brilliance of what all of our candidates ran on and the commitments that our Democratic caucus made last cycle, as I just shared, was moving an agenda that invests in infrastructure across the country. Remember, it was President Donald Trump that promised an infrastructure package, and there's nothing to be seen of that work. We know that we can deliver that package out of the House of Representatives. Also lowering the cost of prescription drug prices and health care. I'm confident we can do that, as well as a strong reform package and cleaning up Washington, D.C. Now, the brilliance of that is not just that we'll have broad support in the Democratic caucus. There is room for strong bipartisan support in this area. So it's not just us working together within our majority, but also working across the aisle. And I think that's the brilliance of this program, of the project, and the agenda that has been laid out. We should be able to work together and get this done.
Well, Congressman, as Kevin rightly pointed out, you were at the center of a lot of this success, this wave, if we're all calling it that now, this blue wave that came across last week. But as you look back, everybody can always improve. Where did you fall short? Where do you think you could have done better?
Well, there's still some races alive. So we were really encouraged that Gil Cisneros is up now by 941 votes in the 39th District of California. By the way, when Gil Cisneros wins that, there will not be a Republican representative in Orange County. I'm really proud of the work we did there. We sent an office down there to open up in February of 2017 to be close to the voters and close to the candidates. California 21 now, TJ Cox is only down by less than 2,000 votes. So that's a district there where we need to keep our eye on that, encourage TJ to stay in this, but where I am convinced that whether it is now or later, we will win that seat in the Central Valley of California, Utah, Texas, Georgia, where we still have some close races that weren't called. We missed with an incredible candidate with Amy McGrath in Kentucky. So there's still room for us to grow, and there's still some redistricting that needs to take place. Remember, the Supreme Court kicked back those maps where federal judges deemed maps unconstitutional in Wisconsin, in Texas, in North Carolina, including Maryland. But I think there are more pickup opportunities there as well.
You know, I think Jason makes a good point, because, I mean, if you look at the California map, and your aide showed me this before you came on, I mean, it literally went from red to blue, the actual blue wave. But what's a state you have your eye on in 2020? Quickly.
I think in 2020, with where we have those pickup opportunities, again, I just rattled off Georgia, Kentucky. There's opportunities there. We still missed one in Kansas. I think that Paul Davis ran an incredible race. We can go back in there and do some work. And still in the Midwest, there's still room to grow in Pennsylvania
look at Senator Tester. Look, pharmacy benefit managers on the issue of pharmaceutical drug prices, lowering them. You're willing to play ball with the president on that?
We're willing to work with anyone that is willing to help lower the cost of prescription drug prices for the American people. And I think if the president is willing to do this, he's going to find someone willing to work with him in a Democratic majority of the House. And I'm convinced that we'll have bipartisan support with our Republican colleagues as well.
I asked this to the other side in your party. I'm going to ask it to you as well. If Marcia Fudge were to emerge as the person, would you support her?
Marcia Fudge is a very dear friend of mine. She was a great mayor of Ohio. But I am supporting Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House.